we stream out to Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, good,
So
good, good.
that's what's happening now. Let's give this a second while it's doing it. Done redirecting, and we are live streaming
Good to go?
apparently. Good.
Okay, good to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, let's get up to the top here. I will send you, those of you that attended and registered and have the registration list, and I'll get it updated at the end of the afternoon. I'll send you a copy of all the handouts that we'll be showing or I will be putting up, as well as a copy of the agenda. So that's the way it is. I just want to give a big thanks first to all of you that are here this afternoon. I hope that you will find this beneficial and it will help take out some of the mysteries of the conferences. And while this is being targeted towards farm, it is really applicable to all the other regions. Each one has its own flavor and its own culture, as well as the Folk Alliance International. But I do want to thank Annie Capps, the conference director, and Charlie Mossbrook, the president of Farm, as well as our tech host this afternoon, filling in on the fly, and I appreciate that. Well, it's my pleasure to be here, and it's my goal that you will get some valuable information and tips on how to make this year's Farm a huge success for yourself. I believe firmly that success is not by accident. Preparation is the key to success, and the time to find out how conference is going to work is not by attending the first timers gathering at the conference. So you want to make your preparations well in advance. My name is Bruce Swan. I'm a booking agent with Baker Booking. We do some coaching work. I'm an FM radio host and weekly streamed concert showcase series, as well as a podcaster, I think, like everybody, right? I've attended FAI in person thrice, NERFA 4 times, and SERFA twice as well. All of the conferences that were held virtually, I attended with my partner Louise. I've stage announced at festivals and conferences, interviewed hundreds of artists. I can't play a single note, and when I sing in the shower, the water goes cold in the complex for a whole week. It's bad, so I don't sing, even in the shower. I'm hoping that you'll have some questions, unless it is something catastrophic that you can't hear, something's not right, you've lost contact, or I have lost whatever. Then we'll just jump in and put something in the chat, and we'll tend to it immediately. Otherwise, if you have questions, you can send them off in the chat to Charlie, or you can hold them towards the end. But unless it's something that is just like, what? Let's hold off the questions. I also might gloss over a couple of things that I plan to deal with later on in the presentation in greater detail. So the goals of our workshop here this afternoon is, first of all, to acknowledge that it's not possible for me to teach you everything I know. It's not possible. And I think that you will find that some of the things that work well for me or for others may not necessarily work well for you, and vice versa. So let's try to be open to different ideas and trying different things. But this presentation is really based on the results of successful conferences and one very unsuccessful conference. The unsuccessful one came down to a lack of preparation, and I cannot possibly teach you everything about that. But I do know one thing, that if you're not prepared, you will get the unsuccessful conference off your to-do list very quickly. Conferences are fun, and it's work, but it's fun work. And I think that they should all have quantifiable goals with measurable results. We do offer coaching sessions as part of Baker Booking. We'll put a link up to the website at the end if you want to talk to us a little bit in greater detail about preparing for conference and working through some of the things that we use and do and procedures and all that. That's done offline and by appointment. I will have several handouts for you. Virtually, of course, I'll show them up for you, and then I will have photos that I've downloaded, and we'll send them to you via link, and you can do with them as you wish. Share them, whatever. I don't care. The audio and visual will be archived. I guess it's also on Facebook, which is nice. So welcome to those of you on Facebook. Good to have you with us. And really, this workshop is intended for you, whether you have a formal showcase, DJ showcase, or late night showcases. And more importantly, it is also for you if you have none of the above. Most of us think that we go to conference, we have to have formal showcase, DJ showcase, and 100 late night showcases, or it's going to be a fiasco. And I promise you that that is not the only measure and the only criteria for success. What's very important to me is that all of you have a good conference. And for that reason, it's important because you will then go back and tell your colleagues that you had a good conference, that this was a well-run organization, that you got a lot from it because you're the ambassadors. I can't tell you how many times I've been backstage at a festival and talking to a collection of musicians and talking about conferences. I do go to conference, and they say, "What are you talking about?" And I said, so I explained to them what the regional conferences are and the international conference, and they look at me like I'm a stand-up comic, like, what are you talking about? This really exists. I say, yes, it really exists. The best way for these conferences to gain in size and popularity and sophistication is if we all are prepared and leave after having had a good experience. If we do that, they will continue to grow in size, they will continue to grow in significance, and we will continue to bring in more venues, more artists, more presenters, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is the goal, that you leave conference not with a list of, wow, I wish I'd done this, but a list of people that you can contact down the road, that you're prepared to talk to, that you've met with, that are prepared to do business with you. Because, you've set aside time. Because this conference starts on Thursday, you're not gigging. No one's gigging Mondays and Tuesdays to get to conference. Very, very few of you. Very, very few venues are open on Monday and Tuesday. Because it concludes on Sunday, you'll go home and can't work your way back home. So you have dedicated time, money, and resources, and also allocated and accepted the fact that you're not going to earn any money while you're at the conference. So make the most of it, because that's what it's all about. It is all about making contacts, about having a successful conference, and you'll do that if you do the work and do the preparation and not expect to get all the answers at the first timers meeting, because that's really more about, this is where this is where that is, this is what time meals are. It's more nuts and bolts, not how to. That's already come and gone. I want you to try to set some personal goals for the conference, and to not only set these goals, but throughout the weekend, monitor them and see how you're doing against your goal list. Measure them. They should be quantifiable. They should be measurable. I want to meet these 3 presenters. I want to get to know these 3 festival directors. That will be very popular. Do so by appointment. Make your appointments in advance, and we're going to talk about how to get to that point in just a moment. Meet people that can help you by making valuable connections. You will all receive the registration list. The time to start looking at who's coming is not on the airplane on the way to Chicago, or on the drive, or while you are driving, because that is catastrophic, as we all know. Planning in advance is work, and that's important. And I know that all of us have lots and lots of stuff outside of our professional responsibilities and our family responsibilities, but to get the most out of this professional opportunity, you've got to do the work up front. So find out who's coming to conference by looking at the registration list. They are provided for people that have registered for the conference. See who's coming. See who's in your area. See who you don't know. See which musicians are going to be there. See the people that you're trying to impress, trying to meet, trying to connect with, and do so by appointment. Make sure you have meaningful conversations that you can build on and refer back to, and make appointments to catch up with one another, and ask for permission. At the end of the conversation, can I follow up with you? Would that be cool? Would it be cool if I sent you a note? Or I'm going to send you a note just to remind you of some of the things we've talked about. Would that be all right? You'll be surprised how many people are A, flattered, and B, open to that, because they want to continue the conversation as well. Christine Stay, the president of SERFA, said something a couple of months ago, right before SERFA, and I thought it was really profound and made a lot of sense. And she said, don't freak, but objects on the calendar are much closer than they appear. And that is solid advice, that 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, that's a lot of time, but it really isn't. So start working ahead, start thinking moving forward, but objects on the calendar are much closer than they appear. We typically make a spreadsheet. So we take the registration, it'll either come in an Excel sheet or you make one, and then sort the names by musicians, sort them by categories that work for you, and figure out who do you know, who do you want to know, and write to those people in advance. and ask them, would you have some time to get together? I'd love to meet with you over a cup of coffee. Let's see if we can't have a meal together. I wonder if we can't book a solid 15 minutes in the lobby. I'd like to sit down with you and pick your brain on something or tell you something about myself. And again, you'll be surprised how many people will say, yeah, that's fantastic. So don't count on bumping into people that you want to meet. Chances are good they are booked up, they are prepared, they are heading someplace, and they're in a hurry. And you stopping them may not make you remembered well or favorably. So let's do this. Let's review the fact that there will be plenty of workshops and panel discussions. They've not been outlaid yet in the farm website, but they will be as they get closer and closer. Those will be announced, who the speakers are, what the topics are. So we'll talk a little bit about how you can make the best of those panel discussions, but they will come out very soon. Let's focus on meals. Meals are a great time to recharge a little bit in between sessions, in between performances, in between meeting with people. Take a deep breath, catch your breath, and then it's time to get back to work. Try to have a meal with a different person every chance you get. Try to do it by appointment. Say, can we have lunch together? I'd like to sit with you and a couple of other people about this topic if you're available. Again, bumping into people and hoping that you're going to have a chance to sit down with somebody is folly. I mean, it may happen. That's what serendipity is all about. But by and large, people will be making appointments to see each other, to talk together, and so see if you can't have a meal with somebody. It's an opportunity to sit more or less uninterrupted for 45 to 50 minutes and try to eat with somebody different. If you can't make an appointment, try to sit down at a table where you don't know anybody. Say who you are. For me, this is really, really hard, and I don't like doing it, and I'm not very good at it. I'm usually pretty good at it by Sunday, but by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not so good. Sunday, I'm catching on. But do try to sit down with everybody differently. If you are traveling as a band, don't eat together. Do not eat together. Eat separately. You will meet other people. You will divide. You will conquer more that way. So in that respect, bands have an advantage. But eating together, hanging as a posse, as a gang, as a group, as a band is not beneficial. You become almost unapproachable because you're a very insulated group. Try to break that insulation. Try to sit with other people and talk to them. Let's talk about the workshops. There are many topics, and most conferences will typically have 2 or 3 workshops or 2 or 3 panel discussions happening at the same time. This causes problems because now you have to make choices. That's okay. Choices are good. So read the bios, look at the people that are going to be attending, look at the topic. If it's of interest, go. And there will be a wide range. There always is. And often, if a conference is done correctly, there will be a couple of conflicts of things that you want to do. So decide which ones you want to go see. Get a lay of the land. Find out where those rooms are. Get there on time. In fact, it's best if you can get there a little bit early. You can sit up front. You may have a chance to talk to one of the speakers before, which is always good. Pay attention. Ask good questions or keep your mouth shut, because your fellow attendees are not there to find out what you know at the panel discussion. They're there to find out what the panelists have to say. Those are the recognized experts. So if you've got a question, hopefully it's a good question and not something that's designed to prove how much you know. But ask good questions, pay attention, sit up front. The other thing you can do is you can linger a little bit towards the end if you think it's going to make some sense, if you have an opportunity to speak to the guest speakers or one of the speakers. And then the other thing, as I said earlier, with dinner and meeting people and sitting at an unknown table, is that it's very hard for me. And so if you sit down at a panel or a conference, workshop, introduce yourself to the person sitting on either side of you, and that will hopefully break the ice a little bit. For me, as I said, I hate doing it. I'm not very good at it. I wish I was better. And can we mute everybody? If you don't have your microphone on mute, would you please do so? Thank you so much. All right. Again, it's not something that I feel very comfortable with, but the benefits have been very good, and I'm always grateful when someone sitting next to me says, "Hi, my name is," or "I'm from," "Where are you from?" or "What brings you here?" Anything will break the ice, and before you know, you'll be chatting and helping each other out. And that's really, again, what it's all about. So make appointments in advance. The next is critical. you need to know your stuff. You need to know what you want from that meeting. When I say know your stuff, know your touring goals. You say, I want to be on the Northwest on these months. I want to be in the Northeast these months. I'm looking for the Southeast. Yeah, in the winter like everybody because it's a lot warmer. But believe it or not, people do go see shows in Florida all year round. Hard to believe, right? But it happens. We've been told by some of the presenters that, hey, we'll take your artists in the summer. People do come out. So know your average ticket price, know what kind of attendance you have, know where you've been, know where you're going, know what you'd like to accomplish, because you may have very little time, or you may find yourself ideally in a conversation one-on-one with somebody, and before someone else can come and buzz and interrupt, you've already put out your information. I'm looking for the following. This is what I want out of my tour schedule for next year. So some general pointers for you, and I'm going to hold up some items for you, probably too quickly, and I apologize in advance, but I will send these out as attachments later on. You can download them. You can do whatever you want with them. I'll also tell you where I had most of them printed. So many of the conferences are going green, and there's real emphasis to do this. And so some have initiated actual no-fly zones. It means you can't poster up, you can't do anything. And these are coated stock, which is, I'm told, not easily recyclable, but it is what it is. This is a postcard, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we use it for at Baker Booking. But here's the three artists that had showcases at FAI this last year. And then on the back, we left enough room for postage stamp and an address, and then the various late night showcases that we offered. And interestingly enough, when we got to the late night showcases and we said, I am, I said, yes, I know who you are. I got your postcard. I got your 2 emails. I know who you are. Thank you very much. And that's why I'm here. We could skip the small talk. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. This one I really like very much. It's Dan Weber. Typical Dan, great big smile, and where he's comfortable outside. And on the back was his schedule. And what I like about it is it's got his website on the front, so I know how to get a hold of them. Many of you have started using QR codes, which I was not really hip to prior to SERFA, and I think they're really helpful because you can really embed a lot of great information in QR codes. This is one that was done by Carol Markstrom, and it's got a lot of information on the back utilizing QR codes, and one on the front. I would have liked to have had her name on the front because you get a lot of these things, and you got to flip them around, and it's just quicker to see them fast. I'm going to ask Louise to put up a segment in a moment, and that's something that Peter Lendorf did, which I thought was brilliant. And this was done about 5 years ago. And the logistics are probably just as time-consuming and costly, but just as relevant. This is something that Laura Jane Vincent did. The Haymakers did this schedule with QR codes and information about them on the back. They were a great band at FAI. And here's one that's just all comprehensive on one side only, done by Gold Pine. They printed these out. It's stock paper with color printer, has their schedules for late nights and their formals, etc. So there's lots of these things. One of the things that we did at Baker Booking as an agent is that we put out, we did this as a showcase host. We wanted to fill our room. So we prepared this card with the time schedules for everybody for NERFA so that we could hand them out and invite people because they would forget, or they would misplace their directories, or some conferences are even going away from the paper directories. But these are things that you need to do in advance. Let's see. These are the things that you're going to want to be handing out to people when people say to you, hi, nice to meet you. You say, I am Bruce Swan. This is where you can see my artist. These are the showcase rooms that I'm going to be performing in this evening. I hope you'll come see me. Let's talk about the personal stuff. Take care of yourself. You can't do everything, so take care of yourself. I mean that by hydrating. Try to sleep every day. Yes, every day. Eat, sleep, hydrate every day to the best of your ability. If you're in a band, bravo. Divide, conquer, make a plan. Divide and conquer. Those are great ways to get the most out of the conference. Oh, yes. Can you, Louise, would you put up Peter's thing? This is a slide that of a work that Peter Lendorf did, and Louise is going to post it up in the The picture, I don't have it in front of me, but what Peter made was a CD, and then in the CD cover were the tracks, and I think he said a little bit about those tracks. Yep, and then this was the outside where it says Peter Lendorf, and then inside was a CD that had his name on it. It said NERFA sample. He also had his business card in there that had his name, his address, his telephone number, his email address, all that stuff. Now, yeah, bravo, absolutely. Because when he met DJs and presenters, it was all right there. This is who I am. This is what I am. This is where I'm going to be. It was brilliant. Perfect. And it was interesting. And you can read how Peter put this together in his blog that he posted up. I'll ask Peter to either post it up or make it available or something, because it was really well done. But it also talked about his timeline and how he figured out how to do many of these things, because so much of what we do is all, do it yourself. Folk artists, for crying out loud, don't have money for extra stuff. All right, so get to places on time. If dinner starts at 12 o'clock, get there at 12 o'clock. If the workshop starts at 10 o'clock, try to get there at 5 of 10. And we'll talk a little bit more about actual showcases in a moment. So the next part is about the showcases. Did you get one? Yes. Great. Great. Now the work starts. You need to invite people. You need to make sure that people come to see you perform. Otherwise, what good is getting the showcase, right? There's no point. It costs you time, money, and energy to secure it. Now, at Farm, at NERFA previously, sort of. Anyway, neither way. The big one is Folk Alliance International. There are multiple formal showcases happening at the same time. At the smaller conferences, like Far West, Farm, SERFA, SERFA, all the formal showcases are happening in one room at one time. So everybody will be there, or they'll be nowhere. There's nothing else that they're supposed to be doing or can be doing that's sanctioned by the conference. So everybody will be at the formal showcases. That's great. For the late night showcases, and much of what we'll talk about now is about the late nights, how to get the most out of them. Start with a plan. What we do is 30 days before conference, we send an email out to the people that we want to see our artists perform. And we will send people and say, this is when our artist is performing, where, we'd love to see you. We're there to meet you afterwards. We will have their CDs. You'll have our business cards. If we can connect, if we can pick some dates, grand. If not, we'd love to talk to you, or just hope that you can be there. And if you need to be left alone, no worries. We do that a month in advance. We also tell them that they will be receiving another email in 2 weeks. And go on to say that we will be sending them a postcard, as I showed you earlier, with the an invitation to this one right here with the postcard backing. We will be sending that out 1 week or so before the conference, so that it should arrive about 7 days before people are starting to depart. That will invite them to where the artists are performing, when they're performing, what they look like, and their website, so that we can begin to connect together. I would suggest that you put the Farm logo on, as we did with Folk Alliance International down here. Farm will have a logo. You can put that on there. It sort of ties everything together. If people are looking at stuff quickly, they'll say, oh yeah, this is Farm. Maybe they put that in their bag that they take with them to finally put all their Farm stuff here, and then they go, and then you want your stuff in that. So there we go. Now, please do not tell people that you want to come see you in the form of a text or a PM on Facebook or Instagram. Maybe it's swell to remind them after you've connected with them, but it's not the best way to start a relationship, is via PMing or texting. Yes, it has worked effectively. I don't think it works professionally in this circumstance, my opinion. All right. Now, suppose you did not get a formal showcase, and suppose you did not get a DJ showcase, and suppose you didn't get a late night showcase. And so you're thinking, why bother? Why bother going? It's expensive. I'm going to lose work, et cetera, et cetera. Wrong. That's not what I'm hoping you'll be thinking, because you can take advantage of not having showcases. In fact, many people prefer not to. So they have a chance to see their colleagues working. So they get to see whom they might want to have tour with them. So they have an opportunity to meet with presenters afterwards. So there are some advantages to doing it. What you also can do is start by reviewing the attendee lists. Look at the artists that are coming, see where they're performing, see if you know them well enough to ask them, hey, can I sit in? You know, I play accordion. I know you don't have an accordion player. I've heard your music. If you're doing this song, maybe my accordion would sound pretty cool next to your song. Maybe they're going to tell you no. That's why we call it my showcase, because no, I don't want you in there. But the benefits may be that you might be able to enhance their song. Maybe they're not traveling with their partner. Maybe their duo mate is not there. They could use someone to harmonize a little bit. They could use someone to add some fiddle. I saw a fiddle player and a cello player at SERFA and FAI work tirelessly. They had many, many more showcases than their bandmates because they could fill in. They could enhance and add to. So if you can fill in, you can enhance, check the registration and write to your colleagues and say, hey, would it be cool if I sat in with you? Just one song, or I'm happy to harmonize, or whatever. So take advantage of no. No can be as big time helpful as yes. This is not applicable to farm directly, but they've got something sort of. You're able to put out your own printed information on tables that are going to be in the perimeter of, I think, the main room. Try not to hog up the space. Lots of people want to use it, and so there you're able to put out stickers, decals, buttons, pins, etc. that you are giving away free. Also, your late night schedule, you can put those out there as well, and then people can take them, and then they will come hopefully and see you. Now, if you are going to a conference, and again, we wanted to tailor this specifically to farm, but to conferences in general, buy a conference room buy an exhibit hall table. At Focal Alliance, they're pretty expensive, but not outrageous relative to the return on investment. At SERFA, I think they were less than $50. And we had a table that was dedicated to baker booking. We were able to put up a banner. We were able to run a video, and we split it with music my mother would not like. So we each had half a table, and it was very, very cost effective. One of the things that's good about the exhibit hall is that it is typically open at special times. It's also typically closed when other things are happening. So you want to really take advantage of that exhibit hall time. I say that you should make appointments to see people because you have a table. They need to come see you, and they will come see you, maybe as they're walking through the exhibit hall, or maybe by design. They know where you're going to be. They've come to see you specifically. So this is a sort of a general piece of information, and that is that the Sharks, the real players, are up in the morning. Swim with the Sharks, because most of the big things happen in the morning and through the early parts of the evening. Much after midnight, people are just having fun. So swim in the morning with the Sharks. Get in front of the people that are typically doing the workshop panels. They typically tend to be up in the morning. They typically have breakfast, and that's when you can catch them. Also, the nice thing about the exhibit hall is that it's going to be in a central location, and you will see people coming all the time because it is the only sanctioned event typically at that. So let's not spend an awful lot of time on the exhibit hall at Farm because there isn't going to be one. It's going to be handled a little bit differently. But going forward, if you're attending another conference that has one, I highly recommend them. And it's a bit of a skill set. We can chat about that some other time as to how to do it. All right. Late night etiquette is big. One would think that it's perhaps not necessary, but some things that I've observed, and sometimes we forget, sometimes we get excited. So let's just run down the list from top to bottom. If you're a performer, arrive at your showcase a few minutes early, especially if you don't know your host. Your host may not know you, may only know you by photograph and by sound. Maybe they've seen you play, maybe they're in the back of the room, but you may not know them personally. Arrive a couple of minutes early. And introduce yourself. Say, I'm the 10 o'clock, or I'm your 10:15. Looking forward to a great show. Thanks for having me. Blah, blah, blah. When you arrive, be in tune. Be ready to play. Don't waste your time and everybody else's time tuning your instrument. If you bumped into somebody on the headstock and the instrument's out of tune, I get it. But arrive ready to play, because you only have, in our case of Baker Booking, 13 minutes. Some rooms are 20 minutes. Some rooms are 25 minutes. But arrive early, makes everybody a little bit more comfortable. You can settle in, you can catch the vibe of the room, and you're ready to go at the started time. You can offer your host a CD. Maybe they don't have your music yet. Maybe they already have it, and that's why they've invited you, but it's a kind gesture. Please don't talk in the showcase room while your colleagues are performing. It's hard for everybody else to hear, and that's not what we came into the room to do. So try to keep the conversation. If someone is persistent and you need to talk to them, ask if we can't go outside the room. Let's just get up and go outside, and we'll be happy to chat there. Please thank your host from the stage, and if you've got time, stick around for the next performer. One of the reasons that we invite presenters to see our artists perform is two things. A room that's full plays better, and we want them to see. So stick around a couple minutes. A full room will play better, and maybe the person that performed before you has extended you the same courtesy, and you'll feel it. Now, just because there's only one person in the room doesn't mean that person is not the buyer of the festival that you want to go to, or the presenter for a venue that you'd like to play, or maybe even one of their scouts. So one person in the room, not the end of the world, not ideal, but maybe you haven't done your homework. Maybe you haven't invited enough people to come see you perform. It can happen. Remember that you just never know who is going to be sitting next to you in a room. So that's it. Try to know something about the host of the showcase. It's always a nice gesture. It makes us feel wanted, loved, appreciated. Do not take more than your allotted time. I'm going to give you a second to write that down. Do not take more than your allotted time. If you're allotted 13 minutes, take 13 minutes. If the person before you starts late, then sadly, you've got to be professional and finish on time, regardless. It's not cool. It's not great. You can have words with that person later on, but that's not the time. Just stay in the game. Take your allotted time. And it's better to end a minute early than to end a minute late. If someone wants to talk to you after your performance, maybe cut a deal, go outside the room. It's quieter, and then someone doesn't have to learn the details of your deal, but it doesn't conflict with the room. We see it happening all the time. People will just get up and leave, and that's when some business happens. So it's great. After the conference, send a thank you email to your host. You never know what might come of it. Little gestures will separate you from others and from the herd. Let's talk a little bit about the DJ formal showcases, DJ and the formal showcase that are happening Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The DJ showcase is Thursday evening, and I believe that one can still apply. I think the applications close September 1, but you must be registered to apply. You will likely receive an invitation for your plot plan. Please return that quickly, efficiently, and clearly, and not in the body of a text as a separate note, maybe as a separate piece of paper, or maybe with a picture. If you're asked for a picture of your plot plan, please provide it. This is festival event performance, so it's plug and play. And if you've asked for special things and the sound techs want to provide that for you, make sure that they can read it quickly and easily and efficiently. Make it simple. Put the name of the band on there and your contact number in case they need to get a hold of you. Know who's doing your introduction so that you can thank them from the stage, and as well as thanking Farm and thank your sound tech if you know their name. It's great. People love to be recognized, and it goes a long way. If you're doing a formal or a DJ showcase, arrive 15 minutes early so that you can introduce yourself to the presenter who's doing the stage announcing, to the sound tech, if there wasn't a sound check prior to. So that's good. Check in with the stage manager. It makes them feel much more comfortable, at ease. I was taught to remember the 3 B's and 1 G. G is not a glass of water, but it's sound advice anyway. Be brief, be brilliant, be gone, and be gracious. Invite the people that you want to see you perform. This is not as important as it is at a large conference because there are multiple formal showcases going on at the same time. I've said I will show you some handouts and some objects. It's my understanding that Farm will be providing you with a lanyard, which you can wear on your neck and It says your name and where you're from. In the back is a place for a notebook where you can take notes, because if you're only half as dumb as me, you will remember a little bit, but not everything that you want. And the notebook is useless without a pen. So bring a pen. And a lot of these lanyards will have a little spot for the pen holder. Have a pen with you or put one in your pocket. I've made some objects, and we've got business cards that we have used. Maybe, Luis, can you put up the business card? Because one of the cool things we did on the back of the business card was we put notes that people can take about you, where you're performing, what you talked about, when you talked, when the follow-up meeting is, etc. And Louise has a picture of herself on the front so people connect the name with the face and then the information on the back. These are some handouts or giveaways that I've used over the years. A sticker for music my mother would not like, similar to the logo behind Louise's head. And this is a magnet. These are items that I've gotten at Sticker Mule, and I've got a discount, and you can help me by using that discount, and I will send you that to you. It's a referral discount. And some buttons. This is a small one. It's cooler. Some people like the big one. I think the little one's cooler, but anyway, so it goes. These are things that you can make in advance, and we got all our printing done locally through a local printer. We had plenty of time. Sometimes you don't have that time. Vistaprint is great for quick jobs. They do very good business cards and et cetera, et cetera. So I'll send these out in links a little bit later on. Your first impressions, be prepared. Know your stuff. Know your stuff. Have a business card, or prepare the project that Peter made, which is all encompassing. It's completely inclusive. If you're in a band, remember the goal, and that is to meet as many people, to make as many valuable contacts, take notes, reconnoiter, review, make goals, make them measurable, meet your goals, review your goals throughout the conference. One thing I want you to think about is, remember that everybody is going to be tired as the conference progresses. Try not to look tired, and try not to dress it. Try to be professional whenever possible. Don't lose sight of your goals. You have all spent a lot of money to participate in this conference. You've also not been able to earn any money while you're at this conference. So keep that in mind. Make your goals measurable and achievable, and then meet them, make them, do them, and benefit from the conference. Farm is a very well-run organization and will have a very well-run conference. It's small, so you should be able to meet almost all the people there, but try to do so by appointment. And I'm interested in taking some questions. So if anybody's got some questions, if you want to shout them out through Charlie, raise your hand, or if you put them in the chat, I can now see you. And Louise, thank you as my partner. We're in the same room, and she normally sits at this side of the room, and I normally sit at the other, so it's a whole new perspective for me. But we've put up some notes about coaching. If you'd like to, you can contact us individually. We're happy to go through the stuff that we've shown quickly in greater detail. We do that by appointment through the website, bakerbooking.com. Charlie, thanks a million. This has been a gas. I hope that you guys picked up some information. And now I'd like to chat with you. What didn't I answer, or did I talk too fast with?
Hey, Bruce, thank you, first off. But I think we have a question from, if everybody wants to give a little hand for all that information. That was wonderful.
All right, well, let's listen.
So I think first up we have Brooke Ratliff has
Okay.
a question.
Hi, I just want to kind of repeat back what I heard to make sure that I got it all.
Sure.
So it sounds like timing is key, and also, doing the postcard is key, and the attendee list of who we might want to send those postcards to, that's available. And we could also check to see who's performing on the attendee list, because that's been always the question on my end, is like, will my band even fit here? Because we're not straight folk, so that will help. I guess my question is about the timing. When is the list available so that we can get those postcards in the mail on time?
Sure. The registration list will be made available to those that register. So it sounded to me like you want to see who's coming before you decide to go. I don't think it's going to work that way.
Okay.
You may want to do a poll through Facebook, through Instagram, who else is going.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
the folk conferences have been sort of reaching out and taking in more Celtic folk, more folk rock, more
Okay.
soulful folk. So it's really casting a wide net. Those are good
Hmm.
questions, and I think you listened very well.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Yeah. But so we do have access to the list now, so I could potentially take that and use it to do some research and just kind of see what's going on right now. And I
Hmm.
think that would probably help us make a decision. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's my understanding. It is available for registrants to the
Okay,
Yeah,
conference,
great.
not to this workshop. Yes,
I,
Peter
bel-
or Charlie, you can jump in.
I was just going to say, I believe that Louise posted that the attendee list in the chat. So if you scroll up about 219, she posted it. So you can find that right there. It's a downloadable list, a PDF.
Yeah, I got it. Perfect. Thank you so
Good.
much.
Right
Okay.
on.
And then back to Peter.
Peter, thank you for your prop. I appreciate your help and the timeline that you made available in your blog was it was clear that it took a lot of time, and that if you wait for the last couple of days before conference, it's going to be a fiasco and not probably come out the way you wanted it to. But thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
The other thing I was going to say that I did was I mean, you could use whatever you want, but I used Google Calendar to block out where I needed to be and where I hoped to go. Plus, I was volunteering, so I had to keep track of that time.
Mm.
But one thing I was going to say about the attendee list, a mistake I made, it was a mistake, but I felt bad about it, was I used that attendee list. There were email addresses, and I emailed everybody under the sun. And I
Rookie.
go, oh, that's a no-no. Okay, so I just wanted, the other thing I was going to say is also, you want to bring things that you give away. And I don't think anybody buys anything,
Right.
as far as CD. Don't expect anybody to buy your CD at the conference. It may not be obvious, but if somebody's new, they're not going to buy your CD. They're expecting they'll trade you maybe, but I traded more with other musicians than with venues. But
Especially the cheap DJs.
well, you should have that CD in your bucket or whatever we did. The other thing is, I forgot what I was gonna say, but anyway, it's just have reasonable expectations or low expectations.
Well, I think that a couple of things that you said that was really important. One is, yes, please don't blind copy the entire registration. First of all, some of the things you're sending are probably not appropriate in that email for the person that is going to be bombarded. So try to target those that you want to, that you really want to meet, that you want to connect with, because that makes the message just that much more meaningful. And some people wind up losing their privileges to email, and it's kind of messy. So do target it. And I think that yeah, we want to meet every presenter, but not every presenter wants to meet us. So let's focus in on the ones that we don't know or whatever. So all good points. Lee, good to see you. Thank you. And did I miss any points?
No, I wanted to follow on to something you kind of alluded to. This is a great presentation and great suggestions across the board. You mentioned the idea of being ready to talk about what it is that you want. And I just wanted to amplify that a little bit. And I think you touched on the other piece of this as well. Have an elevator speech. So you may get a moment where you run into somebody in the hall or in the lobby or something who you really wanted to connect with, what it is you want from them. Have your little elevator speech. So if you get 30 seconds or a minute with them as you're both going places, that you can just rattle that off comfortably and see where that conversation goes. And maybe that will be a chance to establish a time to follow up if you don't already have an appointment with that person.
Yeah, no, good point. And I think it does sort of fall back on knowing your stuff, knowing what you are, knowing what you do. Umming and humming and hawing about what you're not is really not well, we're not really like this, but we're sort of like that. Or do you know this guy? And I'm kind of like him, but really? I mean, no, be professional, know your stuff. And I think having that elevator speech, being able to call it up on demand is very powerful and effective. And it may open up the door for a conversation item that you perhaps hadn't intended upon. But all good points. And Lee gave me some wonderful points after I had an unsuccessful conference. It was one of lack of preparation.
Real quickly, if you don't mind me
No, not at all.
interjecting, Lee will also be leading a workshop for first timers at the conference. So I believe it's going to be Friday morning because we want to give everybody the best opportunity to get the most out of the conference. So if you're a first timer, do put that on your schedule too. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's happening. I'm not absolutely convinced, but I know we talked about that happening at least on that in the past quite a few times.
I think that they're helpful. I just feel that the preparation work that we've talked about here cannot get done that morning.
Right.
So
I was glad to see this because that's one of the things at the first timers workshop you end up saying is, well, 3 months ago you should have done all these things. Sorry about that. Next time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, experience is a fool's teacher. Experience is something that you hope to gain, especially mistakes, through observing somebody else's mistakes. But we all get better with every conference that we do. We all pick up little tips. This presentation is the byproduct of having done this 2 or 3 other times and having seen and tried lots of different things that I thought might work, or I didn't do them well, or 9 out of 10 times I haven't allowed enough time to get them done properly and effectively. Louise reminded me something apropos elevator speeches and keys. I hadn't been at FAI more than 15 minutes, maybe. When getting into the elevator, I dropped my keys down the elevator shaft, which is not a big deal because they can make more keys for you at the front desk, right? No, these are the car keys and the house keys, and it wasn't my car. So stuff happens at conference. You got to be able to move. And my elevator speech to the mechanic was, "I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I know how rotten it is to go in that elevator shaft because I used to be in charge of the elevator mechanics at a hotel and they never get cleaned out. And sending a mechanic into the elevator shaft was disgusting. And he did it with a smile and I was very grateful. And so anyway, things happen. It's just the way it happened. That's me and keys in the elevator. Bad combination. Went right down the shaft.
Oops.
Great big picture of Carrie Estrin. She had one of the elevator poster covers or elevator covers. I saw Carrie walking in the elevator and Louise said, "What was that?" I said, "The keys." She said, "No, I have the keys." I said, "No, the keys to the car." So anyway, yes, keys. Yeah. Brooke, you've got another question. Great.
Just to circle back. So it sounds like folk rock may be welcome at this conference. I mean, we win awards where we are, but if we're not a good fit for the conference, we don't want to waste anyone's time. So how broad, how open-minded are people?
In fairness, I have never been to a farm conference before. I went to the virtual one last year. This will be my first farm conference. I know that the folk community is expanding, but I am not the conference director. I am just simply doing a tech talk. So that's probably something you should go offline and chat with the directors at the conference and send them some music. Say, what do you reckon? You think we're a good fit? Or just go and see for yourself. It's I don't think anybody leaves the conference without something. I think that we can all gain something from it. My goal is for you to gain a lot from it and to go and tell other people what an exceptional experience farm was, and that you then become an ambassador for next year and for the other conferences, and you decide that you're ready to go to the bigger conference, some of the bigger regional ones, or to the Folk Alliance International Conference, which will be in Kansas City for the next 2 years. So that is my goal. And if you have a good experience, you're likely to leave and say, this was awesome. Awesome. I got so much out of it. I met so many presenters. I met so many great musicians. You know, I followed up. We're gonna jam together. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make millions together as folk artists. That's my goal. And if you do that, and if everybody does that, then so much the better for all. We all get ahead, and we all get ahead. Good to see you, Mara. What's up?
I apologize for being late. I overslept. I'm on the night shift with Dad. So I don't know if anyone brought up about not interrupting other people's conversations. Was that brought up? Because that was one thing that I remember going to one of the sessions that Cheryl was giving also, that, you know, people will be in line if you're at receptions, if you're at, you know, in the hall and you see someone you'd like to connect with, they're talking to somebody else. Make sure you hang back, you know, maybe catch the eye, but don't do anything to intrude on another conversation. And a lot of times people schedule, like, say, a business lunch appointment at the restaurant, and it's the same thing. You don't want to approach that person engaging in their meeting over a meal. You might think it's casual, but it's probably their time for their business meeting. Try to also not, like, interrupt that and give them their time to have their business meeting, because a lot of business is done over meals and things like that. So that's one thing that I can, you know, strongly suggest to folks. And the other is take opportunities, any opportunity that you have. If there are meet and greets, to go to meet and greets, or if you have an opportunity to be at an exhibit hall table, that could be a good thing if you can share with others, or if, you know, if you're with someone like Carrie Estrin, to take the time to do that. That's additional time that you can meet and greet other people.
Yeah, no, all good points. And I think etiquette is really critical. And I think that we all get a lot out of it by remembering what we learned in kindergarten. You know, one person talking at a time. Raise your hand. When it's time to eat, eat. When it's time to take a nap, take a nap. So I think you're absolutely correct. And jumping in on someone else's conversation, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, just want to say hello. Can we connect later on? And then get out of the way. Be brief, brilliant, and then be gone. Hey, Eileen, good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you too. I wanted to talk to Brooke. I want to make sure that you do try this. I've run Sarasota Folk Festival, and in order for us to get younger people to come, I find that the music is always evolving and changing, as it should. And if we just stayed with a narrow band of what folk may have been, we may be missing out on an opportunity to hear new ways of presenting that. So, you know, if you're true to your roots, whatever those roots are, you know, bring it and see. You may be starting a whole new segment and genre. So please, you know, I want to hear some new music. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you.
I will send you some. We just got voted best new artist in our area, so we might be worth your time.
Outstanding.
Fabulous.
That brings us to you, Charlie.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Brooke's question as well. And our theme this year is tell the whole story. That means we have sort of an ever-expanding definition of what folk music is. Folk rock is part of the folk story, so absolutely it belongs. The only thing that you need to consider with that is if you're doing private showcases or performance lane, you cannot have amplification unless the instrument absolutely, you know, like a lap steel or a bass, where it absolutely needs it or it's not audible. But yeah, I mean, we're all part of the same ever expanding story of folk music. So absolutely folk rock is part of our story.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we can kill it acoustic, so that's no problem.
Cool.
Peter.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to mention, because nobody else has mentioned it, is I didn't have a lot of, when I signed up for my first NERFA, I didn't have a lot of showcases, you know, especially at the very beginning. Eventually I, you know, did some where you kind of pay a fee, and those worked out good too. But one of the things I did do was to I took a chance on things like, at NERFA it was called On the Griddle, or there were things where they evaluated your website. They evaluated a sample video, and you run the risk of being pulled apart. You're doing that for the benefit of the other people there, not just to get publicity. So if you have a video, you put up a sample video of a performance, or you'll put up, a link to your website, and they'll evaluate your website, make suggestions. I'm trying to think of some of the other things where the DJs would listen to, what is it? Oh, is it 60 seconds of a song or something like that? And that's, it's risky. Some people, you might get panned, but usually they're pretty gentle. But it's just another way to participate, and you learn something from it. Or I did a couple of times. I did the performance critiques, where I signed up, got up on stage, and was subject to Vance Gilbert's techniques and things like that. So that was kind of fun, but kind of scary. But you kind of go out of your comfort zone a little bit with some of that stuff.
Right. I think so too. I think that when you don't try new things, if you're continuing to make the same mistakes, then you have to expect the same results. And if you're not getting results, you got to look at the mistakes that you're making or the process that you're using and ask, why is this not working as effectively for me as it is for others? And maybe because the product is not what's being desired. So yeah, I think it's you got to open yourself up. Anybody else have any questions or concerns, thoughts?
There's one question in the comments, which I think Louise answered, but you may want to expand on this. Mark asks, how do you invite people to my showcase? Sorry if this was covered before. I wasn't able to hop online in time.
Well, it will be in the recording, so it's a good question. Let's review it. What we do with Baker Booking is three things. Starts with getting the registration list, and that's where the work begins. Identifying the people that we know that we want to have come see our artists, people that perhaps, I'm sure this has never happened to you, where you ask somebody, can I play on your stage? And they say, no, we only book people that we have seen. And you say, oh, I get it. Why don't you come see me at this time? So invite the people that have said, no, I only book the people that I've seen at my house concert, my venue, my festival, my whatever. Now, they may in fact say to you, oh, I'm booked that time. Not a problem. When can I send you a video? You've made a connection. We review the registration list. Louise and I then divide and conquer the registration list. We say, I will contact this person, et cetera, et cetera. So 4 weeks before the conference begins, we send an email saying that this is whom we are presenting. This is their schedule. We'd love to see you. Is it possible to meet? Maybe get a coffee, maybe sit quietly either at the exhibit hall, in the lobby, at a meal, whatever. Now, again, each conference is a little bit different. So they more or less follow the same format. Folk Alliance breaks for dinner and leaves the building. The regional ones break for dinner and have dinner. And so there are opportunities to meet people before, during, and after. So we will say, can we have an opportunity to meet with you? We'd love to connect. We'd love to talk to you about your festival. We have 2 or 3 artists we think that would make good sense for you. They may or may not be at the conference. We represent 8 artists. So not all of them went to Folk Alliance, but all 3 that went had formal showcases. They all had late night showcases. And we felt that we also had an obligation to the host to try to help fill that room, because the room that is full plays well. Rooms that play well tend to bring in more people, and those are the rooms you can't get into. Sometimes it's not the best music, but there's the vibe that you just don't want to miss out on. Towards the end of the night, we usually find 1 or 2 late night rooms, and that's where we hang until we can't hang no more. Then we call it the night. So 4 weeks out, we send an email saying, this is when our artists are performing. We'd love it if you would come and see them perform. These are the opportunities you will have. 2 weeks later, we send them, and we also say we will be sending you a postcard in the U.S. Post, and we will send you another email. So we are managing the expectations. This is the one that Louise put up. So it's got a picture of the 3 artists, their name. They were official showcase recipients and artists, and when the conference is, the Folk Alliance Conference logo, and our exhibit hall. We were going to be at exhibit booth number 705. Come see us. Below that are is the artist's name and where they were performing, where their showcases were, the room number, and the start time. To the right of that column is blank space, and that's where the address went. So we did that with Avery labels. You don't want to do that the day before. It's tedious to set up. So Louis says no. And we used, I think they're 8610, Avery 8610s, and those worked very well for us. We were able to print them right off a CSV file, and bang, done. We bought postage stamps in advance, posted them all up. We sent them all out from the post office the same day, and so they tended to arrive, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 days before people were departing for the conference. So that is the procedure that we used, and we've had good effect with it, good results. I did this seminar before SERFA, and I get overwhelmed and sometimes even emotional about this stuff. But I had 2 people in the exhibit hall say, "Hey, I want to show you what I did," and they, with great childhood pride, showed me their project. It was like my kid coming home from school with an A on their art project or something. But it was fantastic. They said, we loved the presentation. We did everything you told us. We bought the exhibit booth. We've told people to come see us. We've listed our formal showcase and all our guerrilla showcases and invited people to come see us. And we sent them emails and we sent them postcards, and here we are. And I was like, bravo. And they had a great conference. And they did very well. And some of them were the talk of the evening. So the people had raised their expectations of what was going to be happening, and they were looking forward because they'd been sort of warmed up to, this is what's coming. You know, it's like getting stage announced. This is who's here. So I hope that answers the question. Probably much more detail than you wanted. Anybody else? Questions, comments, otherwise? Louise wants to jump in. She can unmute herself. She's a co-host.
Thank you. I just wanted to encourage everyone, especially if it's your first time, to do all of these things, to make a plan, but to be very open to the experience. And I started with SERFA. I attended that probably 8 times, and NERFA many times. And I remember a sage presenter who told me at my very first NERFA in Kerhonkson, you just got to show up like 2-3 years in a row, and then everyone will believe in you and know that you're really here. So, if this is the best conference for you, because that's where you live or that's where you want to perform, come next year, come the year after, be seen. If you can afford to go to Folk Alliance, but don't be discouraged if not a lot happens the first time. You will make some good relationships no matter what, just the first time. But it takes a while, and I do encourage the workshops. My first time at NERFA, boy, there were some folks there that were really scary to me, and now they're my friends and my peers in the industry. But it's because I went in the workshops and sat up front, right, and gave them my card, and then they'd see me around later, and they finally got to know me because they knew I was very interested in what they had to say. And if you want to meet presenters and industry folks, that's one of the best times, because they would love to talk to you early in the day about what you're doing. So I think those are just 2 things that were very valuable for me over the years. And I'm excited to get to see all of you in about, a month and a half? Anyway.
About that, yeah.
But yeah, register and then come 2 or 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a game of numbers. It's a game of repetition. It is about trying to get the most from all experiences. It is impossible to see and do everything. It's not possible. It's not possible, especially when you've had 8 things going on simultaneously. But making a plan as to knowing who's going to be performing when, where they're going to be, get a lay of the land, find out how far it is to go from one conference room to the other. I've not seen the floor plan of the hotel, but the schedules of where the showcases are have already been sent out to attendees or registrants. So we know where they're going to be. We know when they are. And again, if you do not have a showcase, I still advise you to come and take advantage and see if you can't connect with artists, see if you can't sit in with them, jam in the lobby, get to know them, get to talk to them. You know, we're always asked, would you get me on the bill with this person? Would you help me get on the bill with let's use John Craigie, for example. I said, I always wanted to tour with John Craigie. Yeah, you and everybody else. You know, he said, well, John said we could do this. I said, well, all right, this is how you do it. You tell John to call his agent and tell his agent to call your agent, and then we got a fighting chance. But it all started because the two of them met and at a festival, and then talked a little bit at conference, and then, you know, it's a game of repetition, and it's about relationships, and they start at conference. And so that's why I said make appointments and have meaningful conversations. Know your stuff, impress people. It's not just about your ability. As business people, it's very difficult to deal with brilliant, incredibly competent performers that are useless when it comes to business. You can't contact them. They don't get back to you. They really want to play for you, but you can't book a date because, you know, I don't know, maybe, I don't know where I'm going to be. You know how it goes. And it's like, no, I don't know how it goes. I'm trying to put seats in the seats. This is a business. You've asked for my assistance. Help me help you. You know, let's work together. Let's get to yes. And so I can't impress you enough. Make a plan. Stick to it. Reevaluate your plan throughout the weekend. Where am I? Have I met these people that I wanted to meet? Did I make that appointment? Was it meaningful? Did I get their email address? Did I get did I get what I wanted out of it? You might not. You might not get to yes, but you will have started the dialogue, and that's key. Yeah, Eileen.
I think I heard you mention that at Farm this year, we might be doing something different rather than a standard exhibit hall.
Yeah.
Do you know what it looks like?
I do. There will be tables in a room around the perimeter of the room, which will afford people to carefully, neatly, and conservatively commandeer a piece of that table and put up the information that they wish to distribute for free, that they don't expect to be there in the morning. So in other words, you've got stickers, buttons, cards, flyers, etc. That is where you're going to put them. There will not be a dedicated exhibit hall as there are in some conferences. So that feature will not be there. However, if you go to other conferences, some of them have exhibit halls, and I highly recommend spending the money to buy an exhibit hall. It is nominal, and everybody has to come to you. They have to come by you. So you do it by appointment or by happenstance, but they're going to come to the exhibit hall because that's generally the only official thing happening at a conference at that particular time. Now, other people are doing other things, but that is the exhibit hall sanction because it's marketing. It's revenue for the conference. And so, you know, if you can take, I think the cost to exhibit at Focal Lengths International is in the neighborhood of $400 or $500 for the opportunity to stand all day long, but nothing else is happening during that time period. So people will come in because that's what's going on. They will come see you if you have a nice exhibit hall, or if you made an appointment or told them to come see you. That's where you're going to be. It's a good central location. Farm has elected not to do that, but there is a place for you to set your material. You can hover around there. You can say, why don't you meet me near where my stuff is, and we can talk. You know, I can show you my schedule for tonight, tomorrow night. I'd love to have, you know. It is a game of relationships. Not all emails get returned. Not all phone calls get answered. Not all messages get heard. I'm sorry. It's not fair. It's not nice. It's not whatever, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And it is how the game gets played. And so be somebody that somebody wants to talk to. Have a meaningful conversation. Keep it simple. Keep it brief. Be brilliant. Be gone. When the conversation's over, go. Get on to the next one. That's hard because it's going so well, right? I might get a whole tour out of this. No, it's not going to happen. So make appointments, make goals, stick to the goals, and reassess your goals throughout the weekend. How am I doing? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? If you come with no goals, Don't worry about it. You won't make any of them. If you come with no plan, it's brilliant because it's not going to happen. You'll leave saying, I accomplished nothing because that's what I set out to do. Now, if you set out to do stuff and you did nothing from that, why didn't these things happen? Maybe you didn't reevaluate your goals. Maybe you didn't look back on it. I hate to be pedantic about it, but it is a process. Hey, Lee.
So while you're doing all this stuff that Bruce has said, there's one other thing, and that is remember to have fun.
Right. It is about having fun. It is about connecting. It is about furthering relationships, connecting, listening to some great music, smiling, having some fun, having a nice meal with people. Yes, we are lucky that we are in a business that allows for that type of fun and entertainment. When I explain to people why I look like hell on Monday morning after attending a conference, I get no sympathy. They say, okay, help me to understand this. You sat around listening to music for 19 hours? I said, yeah. And talking to people for 9. I said, yeah, I'd have gone for 20 if I could stay awake. And they said, and you call that work? I said, yes, it is work. It is hard work to keep it all straight. It is hard work to plan, to see the people that you want to see, the way you want to see them, when you want to see them. It's work, but it's really fun work. And I opened up with that. Yes, it's work, but it's fun work. And, I'd work 8 days a week if it was possible.
Cool.
I think we've covered a lot, and I hope you've all gotten something from it. If you've registered, I will have your email address. I will send you the links. I will send you the agenda. If you have questions beyond a simple question, you want to spend time talking about what you're planning to bring and how you're planning to do it, and what do I think about it, or what do we think about it, we'd love to hear from you. Make an appointment. We'll sit down. Come through the website, bakerbooking.com. We'll allot some time, but don't wait till the week before the conference. You will not achieve the results that you set out to. Big thanks to Farm. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in a couple of short weeks. Thank you, Charlie, for hosting, and all the buttons, gongs, whistles, and of course to my partner for putting all that stuff up when I needed it and filling in. So good job, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here this afternoon. I really hope that you get something from this and have fun. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Louise. I'm going to make a couple.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm going to make a couple quick announcements on behalf of Farm. Tomorrow evening, and once again, thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Louise. What a great workshop. This has been really informative. I learned stuff, which is, that always tells me that I'm either paying attention or the information really valuable. And this is really valuable information. So thank you very much. Tomorrow evening, we have at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, we have our, I believe it is our venue or our agent and manager get together. Yeah, agent manager get together. You can find the information at farmfolk.org. A really important piece of advice regarding the conference: register. Register now. If you're not registered, register now. There are things happening. I know private showcases have been booking. Things are happening right now, and you want to put yourself in a position to take advantage of all those things. So do register now. Also, we have the virtual conference a week following our in-person conference. We wanted to do that to give everybody a chance to attend both. If you are registered for the in-person conference, you are registered for the virtual conference. Otherwise, if you just want to do virtual alone, you have to register for that on its own. My cat is telling me it's time to have his mid-afternoon snack. He was telling me that at 4 in the morning as well. His mid-afternoon snack happens whenever he tells me it's happening.
Bad kitty.
He's a hungry kitty. Anyway, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you at our next event. Also, we have our peer session on the 1st, which is, I believe, is that a week? A week from Thursday. We will have our peer sessions that we do the 1st and 3rd Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, if my math is correct. And if you live outside of our time zones in the Midwest, your math is up to you. I can't figure it out if you're in Hawaii right now. I'd like to be in Hawaii right now. Anyway, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon. And I can't wait to see everybody at the conference. And everybody have a good rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Take care. Thanks.
So long, everybody.
Bye. And how do I end? We're down here.